Hello, everyone. I am Yoruba Butler, and I serve as the Strategy Director for Post-Secondary Access at Alabama Possible. I am the moderator for this session. Thank you so much for joining us this breakout session, Clearing the Path. 3 collaborative student success programs is focused on the conference theme of student success and post-secondary education. Our presenters are Cody Plaster, Carrie Curtis, Beth Hatcher from Auburn University. Their bios are published in the program. We will have time for question and answers at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the Zoom chat. And before you exit the session, we will have a brief survey that I'll put in the chat prior to our departure. So thank you so much, and I will yield the floor to you all.
Welcome, everyone. We are so excited that you're with us today. We are here from Auburn University's Pathway and Transfer Center, and we're talking today about Clearing the Path, 3 collaborative student success programs. So a very brief overview. First, we're going to talk about who we are. Then we're going to go over these 3 programs that we offer. And at the end, we will have time for discussion. So these are those of us who are here from Auburn will be presenting today. Beth Hatcher, I'm Carrie Curtis, and Cody Plaster is with us. And I do want to just take a moment to mention that, we're going to talk about these 3 programs that we're offering, but what's behind that are, we're here really to talk about ideas surrounding post-secondary access, readiness, and inclusion. And all of this sort of within the midst of collaboration. So that's what's behind everything we're talking about. I just wanted to kind of put that out there at the beginning. These are sort of the titles of our 3 programs or populations that we're serving. Auburn First is our dual enrollment program. Path to the Plains is a concurrent enrollment program between Auburn and community colleges. And then also we serve our transfer student population in sort of improving the transfer student experience. The Pathway and Transfer Center here at Auburn was established within the past year. We're a very, very new office. Many of you may not know that we're here. And interestingly, a lot of these programs were started some years ago. We'll talk about that. And everything was sort of started in the provost office in one way or another. And so even though these are such cross-campus programs, organizationally, we're actually kind of situated related to the registrar's office. The registrar is under the provost here at Auburn. So anyway, I think it's kind of an unusual structure. I just wanted to mention where we are. If you ever were to look for me or Beth or Cody on the organizational structure here at Auburn, we would be under the registrar's office. Okay, and I'm going to hand it off to Beth, and she'll start with Auburn First.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our session. So I'm going to talk about Auburn First, Auburn University's dual enrollment program. So a little bit about dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is for high achieving and high performing high school students who'd like to have early access to college. Now, with that being said, we have lots of students who do just take it for college credit, but ideally, we'd like to have an MOU in place with the high school. That allows the student to select a course from the Auburn First course list and earn Auburn credit and high school credit at the same time. We're fortunate enough to have MOUs with a lot of the schools in the state of Alabama, but also schools reaching to Maryland, Florida, Tennessee, across the Southeast. So ideally, again, the high school signs an MOU with us. That allows them to recognize our credit for their credit. Our program began in 2019 with just 11 students. And as Carrie mentioned, we started as a collaboration with the Office of the Registrar, the office of the provost, and with an office here on campus called Auburn Online. And that collaboration has grown our program over the past 4 years to now reaching 600 or more students. This summer, we'll actually have about 1,000 students enrolled. And this is huge as we try our best to reach out to students across the state and prepare them for college, providing them that early access point at an affordable rate, which we'll talk about a little bit later, gives them the opportunity to get access to Auburn. We have MOUs with more than 250 high schools, and we have 33 classes offered on our course list. And so on the next slide, I'll talk about our courses specifically. So when it comes to our courses, we have a lot of opportunities here to collaborate, as Carrie mentioned, across campus. So we collaborate on the course design with Auburn Online. They have a team of designers who design our courses. We then work with departments and faculties to not only select these courses, but to allow the faculty member to work with the designer and streamline their content to make it more pedagogically sound for high school learners. The courses are also developed so that they're highly engaging for a high school learner, but really any learner. Ideally, the course would be redesigned and that each course in our course list has kind of the same Canvas or learning management shell, so that when a student logs into our courses, they know exactly where to navigate to get their syllabus, they know where to navigate to get their assignments, they know where to navigate to see their grades, and everything is laid out in modules that open up each week. All of our courses are online asynchronous. It allows the students to take the courses at their own pace and in their own time, as long as they're meeting the deadlines. That's especially important as we're now reaching students, not only in Alabama, but outside of Alabama. All of our courses are taught by Auburn First faculty who are selected and who are aware of the students being in their courses so that we can strategically communicate with those faculty members. One of the biggest goals of our own program is to provide intentional support and a sense of belonging through that intentional support. So we have student success coordinators, and they're actually enrolled alongside the students in their Canvas courses. That is to track their progress, to remain in communication with faculty members, and so that we can have readily available information for high school counselors as we're collaborating and providing them with information of not only where their students are and what they're enrolled in, but how they're doing. We have an online Canvas orientation that we work with Auburn Online to develop and use. And that Canvas orientation is where our overview of the learning management system is. And so students have the opportunity in there to not only learn about Auburn University's academic resources, but to practice engaging in the material in what their class will look like. So they have the opportunity to not only practice uploading and downloading assignments, they have the opportunity to download technology that's required for a lot of the classes, and to have a preview of ProctorU or any other proctoring requirement for some of the courses that we have on our list. We also collaborate with the Office of Academic Support, through which Auburn First students have free access to study partners, academic coaching, peer tutoring, and one-on-one appointments with that support team. Our program has a lot of benefits. First, they're receiving early access to college classes. That's going to get them ready for college, and it's going to get them exposure to what a college course is like. So if they're just taking one college course, their 11th grade year, they're going to go ahead and get that early exposure to our courses. They can earn, like I said earlier, dual credit, high school credit and college credit at the same time, or they can choose to just enroll for Auburn credit, and that credit will transfer to any other institution that accepts Auburn University credit. A lot of the students will take our courses and they'll choose to go somewhere else, and that's okay. They also get access to any Auburn University academic resource, and if they're nearby, we have a lot of students at our local high schools. They can choose to use our library and any other academic resource we have on campus. They're receiving exposure to not only our college courses, but they're receiving exposure to our team and to any individual that we work closely with. We have a lot of students who go ahead and express interest in certain degree paths. And if they do that, they have access to our senior experience courses, where they can start in something like human sciences or a nutrition course. We also have a senior experience course that allows them to look into all the majors that exist at Auburn and how to identify their strengths and weaknesses and kind of what working environment they'd like to pursue once they do reach college. As part of our program and our program's goal, which is to provide an affordable access point to students and get more students that we haven't historically gotten here at Auburn, we have a really low tuition cost. So it's about 70% reduced from typical Auburn University tuition. Our courses are $550 per course. That's any course that they take with Auburn First, they will pay the $550 rate for up to 24 earned credits. Out-of-state students pay the in-state rate while they're dual enrolled with Auburn First. And so once they matriculate, they would then pay the out-of-state rate. But while they're enrolled, they do receive that reduced credit rate. We do have other costs, which include a $50 application fee or a $250 application fee, or enrollment deposit. And those can be waived if a student qualifies for a waiver. And in order to really push forth the effort of getting even more students and really reach students who we want to have welcomed here at Auburn University and diversify our population, we'd really like to talk more about our tuition waiver program. So our tuition waiver program is part of the Auburn First program. Students who are an Alabama resident and are admitted to Auburn First by qualifying, and again, to qualify, you just have to have, students have to have a high school 3.0 and to have completed the 9th grade, and have a high school letter support form, which is on our website from a high school counselor. Those requirements, plus being an Alabama resident, plus demonstrating a financial need by qualifying for free or reduced lunch or meeting some type of hardship, they qualify for tuition waiver, which means the 24 credits they could earn in Auburn First, the tuition for those courses would be completely waived, which is huge. There are other associated costs. Sometimes we have students, they have extensive textbooks, ProctorU, but we've been working to raise funds to cover a lot of those. We did Tiger Giving Day last year where we raised $3,000 to go towards these additional costs. And we work closely with the students. We have a coordinator dedicated to this population. And she works very closely with the students to help them select courses that have the lower costs, because we do have a science course that has a lot more expensive textbook than some of our other courses. We are all about providing access and getting these students ready for college. We have some students who choose to do this program and then they don't come directly to Auburn. They want to spend a little bit of time at a 2-year degree, and that is wonderful. So we encourage those students to apply to a program like Path to the Plains. And I'll let Carrie Curtis talk about that.
Hello, everyone. Again, okay, so Beth just talked about Auburn First, which is our dual enrollment program. Path to the Plains, on the other hand, is our concurrent enrollment program. And so for this program, the very basic structure is that students are enrolled primarily at a community college, and then they also are simultaneously enrolled here at Auburn for at least one course per semester. We only have certain community colleges that we've partnered with so far, although that number is growing. So anyway, it's not just any Alabama community college, but it is the ones that we've partnered with. And the goal is for students to earn their associate degree on the way to their bachelor's degree. So this is the basic structure or sort of components of Path to the Plains and how it works. I mentioned the concurrent enrollment. We do have curriculum plans for specific majors. And so our number of majors that we offer has grown a lot, just like Auburn First, which was sort of launched in 2019. Path to the Plains was also launched in 2019. We started with 3 specific majors that we offered this sort of pathway for. Now we have about 25 specific majors that we offer, but we also have the exploratory program. Beth mentioned we have an exploratory class that even high schoolers can take, but we have a whole exploratory program available for Path to the Plains. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Anyway, all of these students take at least one course at Auburn per semester, and that is if they've picked one of the majors that have a full program, a full sort of major curriculum laid out, those are in their major, so they get to start their major coursework early. As I mentioned, students do earn the associate degree on the way to the bachelor's degree. There's so much research out there talking about the benefits of the associate degrees. And so we love encouraging that as part of a student's success journey, whether they're, do end up earning the bachelor's degree or not. And then finally, this is another program that we're very excited about our tuition structure. Students pay the community college tuition rate for every course that they are taking while part of this concurrent degree period. We've structured each of the curriculum plans to be 2 years. Sometimes students start a semester in or so, but while they're enrolled at the community college and Auburn, even their Auburn classes get charged the community college tuition rate. So this is an example of what one of our curriculum plans look like. This one is for crop and soil sciences. That's the bachelor's degree that the student would earn here at Auburn. So they basically, once they know that this is what they'd like to do, even if they're at the community college, they can go ahead, if it's one of our community college partners, and begin on this coursework plan. We love how every course is laid out. It's kind of we have all of our wonderful curriculum guidance through Alabama Transfers, or what used to be the STARS program. And this just sort of takes it an extra step by being extra explicit. So on this guide, all the courses that are in white are taken at the community college, and the courses that have the orange highlighting are what are taken here at Auburn. I've already mentioned some of these benefits, but I'm just going to talk a little bit more about these. So we love that students are able to gain earlier exposure to their 4-year coursework in this program. So even if they're at the community college, they're starting at Auburn also from the beginning. We have a couple of different types of community college partners. One, we do partner with a local community college where students physically, they're very able to come here to campus. So we have a lot of majors that students come to campus to take their Auburn courses, but we also have some programs that we offer completely online. So those allow us to partner with community colleges that are further away. And even those students get to start taking their Auburn coursework early. All of this early exposure helps students avoid some of the transfer shock that we've often heard about students experiencing when they transfer. So with this, there is still transfer involved. There is some transition, but they've been involved with Auburn University from the beginning. So that's a great help in that student success. We do offer acceptance into Auburn after the concurrent enrollment period. As long as the student earns at least a 2.75 GPA on all of their college coursework as part of this program. So from the time they started in Path to the Plains to the point they're ready to transfer to Auburn, if they've taken all the courses on their guide, they've earned a 2.75, and that's cumulative at both institutions put together, then they're sort of automatically accepted to Auburn. We have made sure that we're always offering career-ready career paths through these majors that we're offering. And so we're really getting students sort of on a working track from the very beginning, where they're getting prepared and working toward their success, which we're really happy to be part of. I mentioned how helpful students find it to have all of their courses laid out so explicitly. And so one thing that's great with our statewide articulation system is that all the students who are earning their associate degree at the community colleges, the coursework transfers well across the state. But this just makes sure, in addition to transferring, it will be major applicable. That's one of the big advantages of our curriculum guides. And then, of course, the increased affordability. We want students to know that a 4-year degree is accessible for them. And so this sort of lets them get started early on that, and at a great cost, so they can just have an easier path ahead of them and take away some of those barriers. Last, I'm just going to talk about collaboration. So there is a really intense amount of collaboration as part of running a program like this. And that's part of what is wonderful about it. It's enjoyable, it's fruitful. So first, there's all the collaboration between institutions. You know, on the front end, certainly there's a lot of collaboration as far as working out the details of how we're going to structure running a program like this between our two institutions. So there's the program structure, there's all of our communication with each other, there's questions related to billing, and all of that we work out at the beginning. But it's interesting how after that point, there is so much to do related to tracking student progress, but also making the student schedules to make sure, unlike Auburn First, these courses, even if we're offering them online, are not asynchronous for the most part. So there's a lot of work to do to make sure that the students' schedules fit together well so that the students are able just to get from class to class between two institutions. It's really interesting how closely we have to work together, but it's a great experience. So that's the institution to institution collaboration. On the other side is our Auburn University collaboration. And here, you know, there's so many of the offices across campus that need to be intimately involved in this. Our office, the Pathway and Transfer Center, where we are administering the program. Also, every student who has a major specific program has a major advisor here on campus. So we work with the advisors also. We have a separate sort of special admission process for Path to the Plains. So we're working with them. The Office of the Registrar helps us as we share student records with our partner institutions. And then we do have a separate billing structure for this. So we are also always working with Student Financial Services. So there's a lot of sort of pulling together for these success initiatives, and it's been really great. So we just wanted to let you know what that's like.
All right, so before I jump into our most recent action arm of the Pathway and Transfer Center, I just wanted to give a heads up that we will be asking you in about 6 or 7 minutes to give us some feedback and be thinking about what you sort of think about when you hear collaboration. So we've said it a lot so far in our session today. We're going to say it a few more times, but we just want you to kind of be thinking about what does that mean to you? What are some of the first things that you think about when you hear collaboration, maybe some of the experiences that you've had, positive or negative, and kind of how that shook out in your own work. So we will be getting to that. So the transfer student experience is a focus that's been part of our office since November. So this is a really new and fresh position, and it's been really exciting. So I wanted to share a few of the things that we have been working on so far, and then also a few of the types of programming and things that we hope to accomplish, in the very near future, some things that are in the works. So the first one is the gap in pre-admission services. So what we noticed was that if a transfer student or a student that's interested in transferring is looking at Auburn and trying to figure out, will my credits transfer? Do they have the major that's right for me? Is this where I want to, complete this bachelor's degree? It's hard for them to find someone to talk to. Once they were admitted, they would have an admissions counselor, admissions advisor. And once they had registered for orientation, they had an academic advisor that was assigned to them. But before that, and in between those steps, there was not really a centralized point of contact. So our response to that, to sort of step into that gap, was to create a centralized email address that everyone could direct students to as we got the word out, so that they were getting their questions answered and no one was falling through the cracks. We want students to know that we want them here, and we want it to be an encouraging and smooth process from the very beginning. So what this looks like is a pretty strong group of folks both on and off campus, because in order for students to use that email and get their questions answered, they have to know about that email existing. So we worked with our admissions team, advisors across all of the colleges, our transfer orientation group, Our community college partners, so far it's been really helpful for them to be able to give students, a name and contact, knowing that somebody will respond to them in a timely manner with accurate, updated information. And then also our transfer specialists or recruiters, these are people that are located at the college level across campus that are going to be speaking with a lot of incoming students. And so no one person has to know all the answer, but if we can get people sort of just funneled into a place where we know we can get them answers, that's really what we're hoping to do. So secondly, just sort of that big nebulous idea of improving the transfer student experience was something that was really important to us with this new position in this new office. So what we did is one part of that was to create a transfer advisory group. And this is a group that meets monthly. And they are talking about things like, talking through processes, if that is working for the colleges, if it's working for the students, if it's making sense, it's being clearly communicated. What are some of the best practices? So what works for a large college may not work for a small one, but if everyone can share what they're doing, then maybe we can sort of shift out some best practices that can apply no matter how many students that you've got. But who we have that's coming to this is really a little bit of everyone. So again, we are having some representatives from our transfer admissions group, which is really exciting. Historically, admissions has just been really separate from everybody. And so it's been really helpful, to have everyone in the same room at the same time to make sure that we're all on the same page about what these policies are, what the updates or changes are, so that we're all doing what is best for our students. We've had recruiters come and join us, directors of advising, those transfer specialists, academic advisors, the office of the registrar, then our first year experience and orientation office as well. And so all of these folks are committed to improving this transfer experience. And I think what's been really interesting is that, before it was any one person's job, people might have good ideas or see issues that they wanted to fix, but there was just never really anyone to keep the momentum going. Because as we know, if it's not one person's job, then it's hard to get things done, hard to kind of move forward in any way. And then, for transfer students, it can be harder to identify the support services. So unlike an incoming freshman where they're, inundated, they've got a 2-day overnight orientation program. There's lots of events and promotional activities that are directed at new freshmen. Transfer students don't always have that. And while they are, maybe left out of some of those communications, they are often a student population that needs those supports more than any other. So one way that we're addressing that is we're offering a brand new course, which is a transfer student success course. This is going to be a 1 credit hour, once a week class. And we're really just there to help students sort of build the skills that they need to succeed at a tier 1 research institution. We acknowledge, they've done college before, but here's some of the campus specific things that you need to know that are going to be most helpful to you, whether that's resources or how to navigate a piece of the website, or what does it really look like, when you try to go to make an appointment for such and such. It also creates a community and sense of belonging because every student in there is a first semester transfer student. And this class is the first of its kind because it is open to any major across campus. So we're really excited to offer that this fall. And that has been a key player in that has been the first year experience office because they house the first year seminars. And so they're excited to have it. We're excited to be part of it. The advisors and orientation leaders are helping us get the word out for this class to the students, as well as our transfer specialists and recruiters. So those are 3 areas that we have, made some progress on so far. A couple things that we are looking at doing in the very near future for our transfer population is to provide some events and programming that are transfer student specific. So things, like in that welcome week or the First 56 campaign, which is something that Auburn does at the beginning of the semesters, making sure that they know that there's a place for them and they're not alone and everybody hasn't already found their friend group. There's always a new place to plug in. We're also looking at increasing our online presence, starting with our transfer student website, which we're currently working on right now. And, we want that to be just a place that's really helpful for students and their families and support systems to get the information that they need to help them make an informed decision, before, during, and after that transfer process. We're hoping to be able to really come out with some best practices that are supported by data. So pulling in our Office of Institutional Research as well. And, making sure that we kind of spread that word to our faculty, students, with the graduate school, getting transfer students there, all the different places that our native sort of typical four-year students do. We want that for our transfer population as well. And then, of course, we want to amplify transfer student voices in our work as well. And, what this looks like is kind of a question mark. I've tossed around the idea of maybe having transfer ambassadors, transfer student peer mentors, a transfer student organization. So there's different options, and we're excited to kind of keep moving forward and seeing what we can come up with that will be most helpful and beneficial to that student population. So we've made some progress and we're looking forward to continuing that work for our transfer students. All right, so now we're to that point where, I mentioned kind of be thinking about collaboration. You can scan this QR code or go to that link, aub.ie/collab, and it's going to take you to a Mentimeter word cloud. So if you will just go to there and type in the words or short phrases that come to your mind when you hear collaboration. We will give you just a minute to think on that, and then we'll pull up that word cloud so we can see where everybody's at, and then we will get down to some discussion. If you missed that QR code or that short OBBY link, you can go to using the code at the top of the screen here, menti.com, MENTI, and then use the code that's at the top of the screen. Got some great words coming in. Thank you, guys. Keep them coming. All right, so far we've got some things like working together, team, goals, common cause, future, build, partnership, leadership, open-minded. Carrie or Beth, are any of those sticking out to you guys?
I'm just surprised by they're also positive, which is good. I'm surprised no one was like bad or dangerous.
I like open-minded. I mean, to me, if people can manage to go into collaboration environments open-minded, then that's all good. I know sometimes it's hard, but I like that one.
I also like win-win because it makes me think about, especially when you were talking, Cody, about how it's no one person's job. And having been a transfer student and knowing what it feels like to be passed around from office to office and having, you don't really feel like you belong anywhere. And you have, they're like, it's not our student. Well, it's not your student either. So really having it be a win-win for every office and the student. I like win-win.
I agree. I also like aligned. Again, I feel like some of these are goals of collaboration, but that is another sort of best case scenario in my mind.
These are great. Thank you guys so much. So yes, like Beth said, a lot of positive things, which is great. That's best case scenario.
It's so good. Yes, I love all this positivity.
All right, so with these kind of words in mind, we will shift over to just a couple of discussion questions. I will go back to the slides and let Carrie and Beth kind of lead us in that discussion.
Okay, so I'll ask the first question. Oh, and this is one where, we invite y'all to unmute yourselves and we can actually discuss. So this question is, what challenges have you experienced or believe exist in trying to collaborate across units?
Well, one that I'll share is time frame, making sure that everybody's calendar works to be able to actually meet with one another, especially since those are all very high touch offices. So time frame and calendar, being able to make your calendar meet with one another.
That is so true, especially the more people that are involved. I have had times of sending out a survey where I've listed like a dozen options of when we should meet. And even still, only one of those worked out. I mean, it's just wild trying to get everyone on the same page. I also went to one of the earlier sessions today was about initiative fatigue, and it was really neat sort of hearing ideas about how to keep things fresh. One thing they talked about just in terms of timeline was putting an end date on things, or at least on certain segments of what you're doing so that it doesn't just all feel like it's going on and on forever. So anyway, it's interesting, like all the different types of calendar sort of management that can come into play.
And I can build on that too. I know with the dual enrollment program, it's a challenge to help students and high schools understand grade processing and registration, and we're still working through a lot of those challenges. So for example, if a senior takes a class with us and they need that class to graduate, they probably won't have our official transcript to have that student graduate at the beginning of May. And that's something we're still trying to work through. A lot of high schools have implemented, a policy that they can't earn that credit that second semester of their senior year to try to eliminate that issue for students. We also have a struggle that we're still trying to overcome of students wanting to register for both semesters. So in other words, fall at Auburn and spring of Auburn, because that's how they do it at their high school. They register for the whole academic year, but Auburn isn't like that. So that's definitely a challenge for us as well. Does anyone else have any other examples of challenges?
Carrie, I'll comment that I attended the initiative fatigue session also. And I think one of the challenges that I see sometimes relates to his discussion on the who, people taking ownership and people knowing their role. Sometimes I think that it's easy to assume roles and we get into this, oh gosh, how would I describe it, Carrie? People assume roles and you have meetings where people just show up to show up and there isn't that collaboration as you wanted. And so really bringing about the who and defining roles and having a responsiveness to this culture of collaboration.
Responsiveness is a great word.
Most certainly.
So a lot of you had a lot of positive words in the word cloud. Can we talk more about the opportunities that come about when you do multi-unit collaboration? Does anyone have any examples they'd like to share?
Well, I'll say my one word would be cross-training.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a great example. I think my biggest experience in doing this work and collaborating with multiple, not only units on campus, but high schools and community colleges, because I work with both of the initiatives we've discussed today, is that it's allowed me to grow because I've been able to kind of take a step out of my own, personalized mindset that these things can be done super quickly, when in reality they can't, and seeing how other offices have to process things and how other people do their work has helped me to grow. So I would say kind of professional and personal growth at the working level.
We also had a comment in the chat by Ms. Connor saying a lack of understanding from staff that deal with day-to-day front-facing students. So that actually echoes a lot of what Beth shared.
Yes, I definitely agree with that, because I did a bit more forward-facing recently than I usually do, and that was definitely also a growth opportunity for me. To appreciate the people that are just so incredibly good at it. Like Cody has been an advisor here for 10 years, and just knowing and seeing people who thrive at that and are so good at that, it allows me to see and grow. I think we want to have a good 5 minutes for questions. So if you guys want to either put questions in the chat, we can answer. We'll also put our contact information here. You can see our website for the Pathway and Transfer Center. Our Path to Plains email is path@auburn.edu. The Auburn First one is aufirst@auburn.edu. And then our transfer help email that Cody talked about is transferhelp@auburn.edu. I believe that these slides will be sent out. Is that correct, Yoruba?
We're happy to send these out.
And we'll send them out because our
Okay.
contact information, our personal contact information is at the beginning under our picture. So let's see what questions you guys have for the next 4 minutes.
And also, I'm going to put the brief survey in the chat now to make sure everybody gets it. It's just 2 questions.
We'd love to answer any questions you might have about our processes or the programs.
If you don't have any, we just want to thank you for coming. This has been a really fantastic conference today, and I'm glad to be part of it. I'm glad I've been able to attend.
Ms. Connor asked, will there be a list of community colleges that are accepted by Auburn First listed in what's being sent out?
I think so. Path to the Plains is the one where we specifically partner with the community colleges, and I can include some information about that also. And then for Auburn First, that's our dual enrollment program. We, I guess I would say that as far as transfer credit, we accept any dual enrollment credit from any of the Alabama community colleges.
She said thank you.
Yes. And we will post our slides and a couple of information sheets in the main conference chat in just a few minutes.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our participants. And if there are no other questions, then if you all have another session that you want to go to and participate in, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.